There's a reason you're here, isn't there? A reason why this title spoke to you in a way nothing else could. Deep down, in the quiet spaces of your soul, there's something you've been feeling, something you've been avoiding. And it's not just a fleeting thought, it's a vibration, an energy that hums beneath your daily life, whispering truths that you've been too busy, too distracted, or maybe even too afraid to confront. Today, we're going to dive deep into that energy, into those signs you can't ignore anymore. Because if you're here, there's a part of you that knows you're not like everyone else. You are one of the chosen ones. I want you to take a moment right now and ask yourself, what does it mean to be chosen? Not in some grandiose, ego-driven way, but in the quiet, humbling realization that your life, your existence, holds a purpose that goes beyond the surface. Can you feel it? That subtle pull, that knowing that you're here for more. It's not a coincidence you've been feeling this way. It's not your imagination. It's a call, a vibrational invitation from the universe itself.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
Let's start with the most fundamental truth. Everything is vibration. Every thought, every emotion, every experience, it's all energy in motion. And you, as one of the chosen ones, are attuned to a frequency that not everyone can hear. Have you noticed how certain places, people, or situations seem to drain you while others uplift you? That's not random. It's because your vibration is sensitive, calibrated to detect what aligns with your purpose and what doesn't. But here's the problem: most of us have been conditioned to ignore these signs. We've been taught to rationalize, to fit in, to silence that inner voice that's screaming for us to pay attention. Why? Because the world fears what it doesn't understand, and those who are truly aligned with their higher purpose often disrupt the status quo. Think about the moments when life felt heavier than usual. Maybe it was a job that didn't feel right, a relationship that drained you, or a path you thought you were supposed to follow but somehow felt empty. Those weren't just bad days or coincidences. They were signs, vibrational signals trying to guide you back to your truth. But here's the thing about signs: they start as whispers. Ignore them long enough and they grow louder. Keep ignoring them and they'll shake your entire world. The universe doesn't give up on its chosen ones, but it won't wait forever for you to listen either. I want you to reflect on this. What have you been ignoring in your life? Maybe it's that nagging feeling that you're meant for something greater. Maybe it's the way your body reacts when you're in situations that don't serve you, those knots in your stomach, the heaviness in your chest, the fatigue that no amount of sleep can fix. These aren't just physical sensations, they're the language of your soul. And if you're honest with yourself, you already know what they're trying to tell you. Let's talk about why these vibrational signs are so important. Imagine you're tuning a radio. If you're not on the right frequency, all you hear is static. But when you adjust, when you align with the right signal, everything becomes clear. That's what's happening to you. The universe is trying to tune you into your purpose, your mission, your truth. But if you keep ignoring the signs, if you keep living in the static of distractions, obligations, and fear, you'll never hear the music that's meant for you. There's a reason why chosen ones often feel out of place in the world. You see things others don't. You feel things others can't. And while that can be isolating, it's also your greatest gift. Because the world needs people like you, people who can see beyond the illusion, who can hear the whispers of the universe and translate them into action. But here's the catch: being chosen isn't about sitting back and waiting for life to happen to you. It's about stepping up, taking responsibility for your vibration, and aligning yourself with the path that's been calling you all along. Ask yourself, what would happen if I stopped ignoring the signs? What if you stopped dismissing your intuition as irrational or inconvenient? What if you started trusting that inner voice, even when it doesn't make sense? The truth is, your vibration doesn't lie. It's always guiding you, always pointing you toward what's in alignment with your highest self. But you have to be willing to listen, to trust, and to act. Now, let's get practical. How do you tune into these vibrational signs? It starts with awareness. Pay attention to how you feel in different environments, around different people, and during different activities. Your emotions are like a compass, pointing you toward what's in alignment and away from what's not. If something feels heavy, draining, or off, that's a sign. If something feels light, energizing, or expansive, that's a sign too. But don't stop there. Once you've identified the signs, you need to act on them. That might mean walking away from situations that no longer serve you, even if they're comfortable. It might mean taking risks, stepping into the unknown, and trusting that the universe will catch you. And here's the most important part: don't be afraid to ask for guidance. Whether it's through meditation, prayer, journaling, or simply sitting in silence, create space to connect with your higher self and the universe. Ask for clarity, for direction, for the courage to follow the signs. And then listen, not with your ears, but with your heart, your intuition, your vibration. The answers are always there, but they won't come in the way you expect. They'll come as feelings, synchronicities, or sudden bursts of clarity. Trust them. Trust yourself. So I'll leave you with this question. What would your life look like if you fully trusted your vibration? If you stopped second-guessing, stopped doubting, and started living in alignment with the signs that have been guiding you all along? Take a moment to sit with that. Feel it. And when you're ready, let's continue this journey together. You felt it before, the moments when life seems to flow effortlessly, when coincidences stop being coincidences and everything just clicks. That's what alignment feels like. It's not some mystical, unattainable state reserved for a select few. It's a natural way of being when you stop resisting the signs you've been given and finally allow yourself to move in the direction your energy has been pulling you all along. But here's the thing: no one tells you alignment isn't always comfortable. In fact, it's often the opposite. Because to align with your highest frequency, you have to let go of everything that's not a match for it. And that's terrifying. It means facing the relationships, habits, and beliefs you've been clinging to, even though deep down you know they're holding you back. It means stepping into unknown territory where there are no guarantees, no safety nets, nothing to reassure you that you're making the right choice except for that quiet, unshakable feeling that you are. So why do we resist alignment? Because we've been conditioned to believe that safety comes from controlling outcomes, controlling perceptions, controlling every aspect of our lives to avoid discomfort. But that's the paradox: the more you try to control, the more disconnected you become from the flow of life. And the more disconnected you are, the harder it is to hear the signals your frequency is trying to send you. Alignment isn't about control. It's about surrendering to the truth of who you are, even when that truth challenges everything you thought you knew. Start with this: what are you holding on to right now that feels heavy? You don't have to overthink it. The answer is already there. Maybe it's a job that pays well but drains your energy. Maybe it's a relationship that feels more like a comfort zone than a connection. Maybe it's a version of yourself that you've outgrown but are afraid to let go of because it's all you've ever known. Whatever it is, you have to understand that heaviness isn't random. It's a signal of vibrational mismatch between where you are and where you're meant to be. Here's where it gets tricky though. Letting go isn't as simple as flicking a switch. It's messy. It's emotional. It might even feel like you're losing parts of yourself in the process. That's because in a way you are. But what you're losing isn't the real you. It's the layers of fear, doubt, and conditioning that have been masking your true frequency. And the only way to shed those layers is to stop clinging to what no longer fits and start trusting that what's meant for you will find you when you create the space for it. Trust isn't easy though, is it? Especially when you've been burned before. When you followed what felt like a sign, only to have it lead you to pain, failure, or disappointment. But here's the thing, those moments weren't mistakes. They were recalibrations. Every time you fail, you're not being punished, you're being redirected. The universe isn't trying to test you. It's trying to teach you how to listen. And sometimes the only way to hear the lesson is through the discomfort of being out of alignment. The pain isn't a punishment. It's a nudge, a reminder that you're still holding on to something that isn't yours to carry. Think about how often we ignore the whispers of our energy because we're afraid of what they'll ask us to do. We stay in jobs we hate because they're secure. We stay in relationships that drain us because we're afraid of being alone. We hold on to identities that no longer fit because we're scared of who we'll be without them. But here's the hard truth: the longer you ignore the signs, the louder they'll get. And if you still refuse to listen, life will eventually force your hand. That's when you experience the breakdowns, the rock bottoms, the wake-up calls that feel like everything is falling apart. But nothing is falling apart. It's all falling into place. You're just being stripped of everything that isn't in alignment with your frequency so that you can finally tune into what is. So how do you step into alignment without waiting for life to force you into it? By getting honest with yourself. Not in a surface level, I'll journal about it and move on kind of way, but in a raw, unfiltered, what am I pretending not to know kind of way. Because the truth is, you already know what's out of alignment in your life. You've always known. You just haven't wanted to face it because facing it means change. And change means risk. But what's the bigger risk: staying stuck in a life that doesn't feel like yours, or taking the chance to create one that does? When you start listening to your frequency, you'll notice something incredible happens. The things you once had to chase will start coming to you. Opportunities, relationships, experiences, they'll show up in ways you couldn't have planned or predicted. That's not magic. That's alignment. When you're in tune with your energy, you naturally attract what matches it. But that doesn't mean everything will be easy. Alignment doesn't guarantee comfort. It guarantees growth. And growth is rarely comfortable. Here's where most people get it wrong. They think alignment is about always feeling good, always being positive, always being high vibe. But true alignment isn't about avoiding discomfort. It's about being willing to face it. Because the discomfort is where the growth happens. It's where you shed the parts of yourself that no longer serve you and step into the version of yourself that does. It's where you stop playing small and start living in a way that's true to your frequency, even if it scares you. So what does it mean to live in alignment, practically speaking? It means making choices based on what feels right, not what looks right. It means prioritizing your energy over other people's expectations. It means being willing to walk away from anything that doesn't resonate with your truth, even if it's familiar, even if it's comfortable, even if it's what you thought you wanted. And it means trusting that the universe will support you when you choose to honor your vibration, because it will. Every time. Take a moment to think about this. If you stopped ignoring the signs and started living in alignment with your highest frequency, what would your life look like? You already know the answer. You've always known. The question isn't whether you're capable of living that life. The question is whether you're willing to let go of everything that's keeping you from it. Fear. It's the thing we spend our lives avoiding, silencing, running from. It's the weight in your chest, the reason you hesitate, the voice in your head that whispers, "What if?" But the truth is, fear isn't your enemy. It's your compass. It points directly toward the parts of your life that are out of alignment, the places where you've been shrinking, hiding, or pretending. And if you're willing to face it, fear will show you exactly what needs to change. Think about how fear shows up for you. It's not always loud. Sometimes it's subtle. A tightness in your stomach when you think about making a certain decision. A quiet voice telling you not to take the risk. A feeling of unease whenever you step too close to the edge of your comfort zone. That's not fear trying to stop you. That's fear revealing where you're holding yourself back. Most people misunderstand fear. They think it's a sign to turn around, to play it safe, to stay where they are. But fear only shows up when you're standing on the edge of something important. It's the resistance that rises when you're about to step into a bigger version of yourself. Fear isn't there to keep you small. It's there to test how much you're willing to grow. Here's the thing, resistance always shows up when you're moving closer to your truth. Always. It's like an invisible force that pushes back the moment you start stepping into alignment. You'll feel it as doubt, second-guessing, excuses, or even external challenges. But resistance isn't proof that you're on the wrong path. It's proof that you're on the right one. Because if what you were reaching for didn't matter, there wouldn't be anything standing in your way. The question isn't whether resistance will show up. It's whether you'll let it stop you. Most people do. They hit a wall, feel the fear, and turn back. They tell themselves it wasn't meant to be, that the timing wasn't right, that they'll try again later. But there's no later. There's only now. And every time you let resistance hold you back, you reinforce the belief that you're not ready, not capable, not enough. That belief becomes your reality, and the cycle repeats. But what if, instead of running from resistance, you leaned into it? What if you stopped treating fear as a warning and started treating it as an invitation? Because that's what it is. Fear invites you to step beyond the version of yourself that's safe and predictable and into the version that's free. The version that doesn't compromise, doesn't settle, and doesn't apologize for wanting more. That's who you're meant to be. But you'll never meet that version of yourself if you're not willing to face what scares you. Start small. Think about one thing you've been avoiding because it feels too big, too risky, too unknown. Maybe it's ending something that no longer feels right. Maybe it's starting something you've been dreaming about, but can't quite bring yourself to begin. Whatever it is, you don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. All you have to do is take one step toward it, just one. That's it. Because the moment you move toward what scares you, you weaken its hold on you. Fear only has power when you let it paralyze you. The second you act in spite of it, you take that power back. Resistance might show up as fear, but it can also show up as distraction. You'll notice this when you start making excuses for why you can't do the thing you know you need to do. You'll tell yourself you're too busy, too tired, or that you need more time to prepare. You'll find a million reasons to stay exactly where you are because staying feels easier than stepping. But distraction is just another form of resistance. It's your mind's way of keeping you safe by keeping you stuck. But staying stuck isn't safety. It's stagnation. And stagnation is the slow death of your soul. Because the longer you stay in a place that doesn't feel right, the more you betray yourself. And self-betrayal is the deepest kind of pain. It's the quiet ache that sits in the background of your life, the restlessness that never quite goes away, the feeling that no matter what you do, something's missing. That's not life being unfair. That's you ignoring the parts of yourself that are begging to be free. Freedom doesn't come from avoiding fear. It comes from facing it. From stepping into the unknown and trusting that whatever's on the other side is better than the smallness you've been clinging to. And here's the thing it always is. No matter how hard it feels, no matter how much resistance you meet, every step you take toward alignment is a step closer to the life you're meant to live. And that life? It's not just better, it's unrecognizable, because it's yours. Fully, completely, unapologetically yours. But don't get it twisted, this isn't about overcoming fear or conquering resistance. Fear isn't something you defeat. It's something you learn to walk with. Resistance doesn't disappear just because you've chosen a new path. It shows up every time you grow, every time you stretch, every time you step into a version of yourself you haven't met yet. But that's the point. Resistance is a sign that you're alive, that you're reaching for something real, that you're refusing to settle for less than what you deserve. So when resistance shows up, don't fight it. Feel it. Let it remind you that you're on the edge of something important, and then take the step anyway. Not because you're fearless, but because you're brave enough to move despite the fear. That's what makes the chosen ones different. It's not that they don't feel resistance. It's that they don't let it stop them. Here's the truth: most people don't want to hear the life you want isn't waiting for you. It's waiting on you. It's waiting for you to stop playing small, stop making excuses, stop letting fear and resistance dictate your choices. It's waiting for you to decide that the discomfort of growth is worth more than the comfort of staying the same. Because it is, every single time. So what's it going to be? Are you going to let resistance win? Or are you going to choose yourself, the real you, the aligned you, the you that's been waiting to be set free? The answer isn't in your head, it's in your actions. Because at the end of the day, your life isn't shaped by what you think or feel. It's shaped by what you do. And the only thing standing between you and the life you're meant to live is the decision to take the first step. You already know what you need to do. It's been calling you this whole time. Now it's up to you to move. There's a turning point in every life, a moment when the weight of staying the same becomes heavier than the fear of change. If you've made it this far, you're standing at that moment. You're beginning to see that ignoring the signs, silencing your intuition, and staying in a life that doesn't match your frequency isn't just uncomfortable, it's unsustainable. That's why you feel this tension, this pull, this inner knowing that you can't keep living like this. And the truth is, you don't have to. The life you're meant to live doesn't require you to become someone else. It's not about achieving some ideal or chasing an image of perfection. It's about stripping away everything that isn't you, the expectations, the conditioning, the fear, and finally letting yourself exist as you are. That's where freedom begins. Not in the absence of challenges, but in the presence of authenticity. When you stop trying to fit into a mold that was never made for you, you start to realize just how much energy you've been wasting trying to be something you're not. This is the part where most people hesitate. Not because they don't want to change, but because they don't trust themselves to handle what comes next. What if it doesn't work out? What if it's worse than before? What if I fail? Those questions will never go away. But they don't matter. The only thing that matters is whether you're willing to live with the regret of never trying. Because the pain of staying small, of staying stuck, of staying silent, is always greater than the pain of risking it all for the life you deserve. So here's the truth, the signs you've been feeling, the vibrations you can't ignore. They're not here to guide you toward an easier life. They're here to guide you to a real one. One where you stop settling for half-hearted connections, empty routines, and muted versions of your dreams. And yes, it's going to ask a lot of you. It's going to ask you to let go, to trust, to step into the unknown. But what it gives you in return is worth everything. This is your moment. Not tomorrow, not someday, right now. The question is, will you take it? Because once you do, everything changes. And deep down, you already know you're ready.